Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're heading into the historical heart of Istanbul, a truly fascinating city. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore Ulrich Mählert's new guidebook, Listen to Istanbul. Specifically, we're focusing on the second part.
That's right. We're really zeroing in on a specific, incredibly rich area. We're talking about the Byzantine part of Istanbul, basically the stretch between the Ataturk Bridge and the old city walls. And, it's just bursting with layers of history, some really surprising stories behind the landmarks you think you know.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. We're going to explore how buildings changed, how empires left their mark, and how daily life just keeps weaving through all that history. Amazing stories, apparently. Let's kick off with the big ones, the icons of Sultanahmet, and first, obviously, Hagia Sophia. What struck me reading about it was just how many times its whole identity shifted. Can you walk us through that?
It's like an architectural chameleon, isn't it? I mean, its story starts big. A massive basilica, Emperor Justinian I, 537 AD. For almost 1,000 years, it was the largest cathedral anywhere. Just picture that huge central dome, the mosaics glittering inside, the sounds of Greek Orthodox chants. It was a real triumph of Byzantine power and faith.
Wow. And then 1453 happens, the Ottoman conquest. Complete pivot, right.
Hmm?
Sultan Mehmed II makes it a mosque straight away, adds the minarets we see today.
Yeah.
So suddenly, Islamic calligraphy shares space with Christian mosaics, which is fascinating in itself. For what, nearly 500 years, the soundscape changes completely. Quran recitations instead of hymns.
But yeah, the story doesn't stop there. Fast forward to 1935. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, he secularizes it, turns Hagia Sophia into a museum. A really powerful statement, trying to bridge religious divides, showing it as shared heritage. And that's when many of those mosaics, hidden for centuries, were uncovered again.
Yet it keeps evolving. 2020, it becomes a mosque again. That caused quite a stir globally, didn't it? So now, if you're visiting as a non-Muslim, you can still go into the upper gallery for a fee, I think 25 euros. You have to remember the modesty rules, of course. Headscarves for women, you can rent them there. And maybe try to avoid peak times, especially Fridays.
Absolutely. I think the key takeaway here is how Hagia Sophia embodies Istanbul itself. It's constantly being rewritten. Whether you see it as a church, mosque, or museum, its significance, its kind of core identity as the heart of the city just endures through all the change.
Right across the square, you've got its magnificent rival, the Blue Mosque. Sultan Hamid I, just 19 years old, commissions it in 1609.
Yeah.
And he specifically wanted to outdo Hagia Sophia. Talk about ambition.
Incredible, isn't it? Especially for someone so young. And those 6 minarets. That was a huge deal. Apparently, only the Grand Mosque in Mecca had 6 at the time, so it was quite controversial. The Sultan solved it by paying for a 7th minaret to be added in Mecca. Clever solution. And the architect, Sedefkar Mehmet Atçay, really created something special. Those cascading domes, it just dominates the skyline beautifully.
And when you step inside, wow, you immediately get why it's called the Blue Mosque. There are over 20,000 of these hand-painted Iznik tiles, mostly blues, greens, whites. And with the light filtering through hundreds of stained glass windows, the whole space just glows blue. Plus that massive central dome, over 40 meters high. It feels almost weightless. Truly stunning.
And what's interesting is, unlike Hagia Sophia's shifts, the Blue Mosque has always been a functioning mosque ever since 1616. Sultan Ahmed is buried there. And the complex around it, the Kuli.
That's the bit with the school, hospice, bazaar.
Exactly. It shows that Ottoman idea of a mosque being more than just a prayer space. It was a whole civic center, a community hub. And it still feels like that.
It really is such an enduring symbol on the skyline. Faith, art, empire, all coming together. Seeing it during a festival must be amazing. Okay, moving on to the powerhouse, Topkapı Palace. Sultan Mehmed II, again, commissioning it in 1459. This was the absolute center of Ottoman power for, 4 centuries?
Pretty much. And it wasn't just a palace, it was more like a self-contained city. Huge area, 4 main courtyards, gardens, endless rooms. You had the Sultan, his family, ministers, scholars, thousands of staff all living and working there. It's this amazing blend of Islamic, Byzantine, Ottoman styles.
I was reading about the different parts. The harem sounds so mysterious, that private world. And then the treasury. The Topkapı dagger, the spoonmaker's diamond, 86 carats. Just unbelievable riches. And the Chamber of Holy Relics, with artifacts said to belong to the Prophet Muhammad, adds a whole spiritual dimension.
Yeah, but here's a key point from the guidebook, The Shift in 1856. Sultan Abdülmecid moves the court. He leaves Topkapı for the new, more European-style Dolmabahce Palace on the Bosphorus. And that wasn't just moving house. It really symbolized the Ottoman Empire trying to modernize, looking towards Europe. It makes you think, what was gained in that move, but also what connection to history was maybe lost.
It became a museum in 1924, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, the guidebook mentions the queues can be long, but it sounds like it's worth it. Walking those courtyards, seeing the tile work, imagining the sultans looking out over their empire, stepping back in time. Okay, from the heights of the palace, let's go underground. The Basilica Cistern, famous for those columns, hundreds of them, and especially the two with the Medusa heads at the bottom,
Hmm.
right? Kind of spooky.
Yeah, the legend says they're upside down or sideways to stop Medusa's gaze turning you to stone. But Mählert suggests it's probably more practical. They were just reusing old Roman carvings and fitted them in however worked best for supporting the columns. Still adds to the mystique, though.
Definitely. And it was built way back in the 6th century by Justinian again.
That's right. It was massive, designed to hold water for the Great Palace nearby. Like 80,000 cubic meters of water, supported by over 300 columns, many recycled from older buildings, an incredible piece of engineering. It fell out of use after the conquest, but didn't completely disappear.
Until that French traveler, Petrus Gillius, sort of rediscovered it in the 16th century
Okay, what?
and then finally restored and opened as a tourist spot in 1987. Now everyone can see it.
And the atmosphere inside is just striking. The lighting reflecting on the water, the coolness, the dripping sounds echoing. You walk on these platforms above the water. It feels totally removed from the city bustle right above your head. Really evocative.
Sounds like a photographer's dream. Well, maybe tricky with the low light. Need a tripod, I guess. It pops up in films and books, too, doesn't it? Adds to that underground mystery vibe.
Yeah.
Right. Let's shift from these grand monuments to the pulse of daily life and trade, the Grand Bazaar. You see it in movies like James Bond and Skyfall or Taken 2. That chaotic energy, it seems perfectly captured.
It really is like that. It started way back in 1461. It's this huge labyrinth, over 60 covered streets, thousands of shops. Apparently 40 kilometers of paths if you walk them all. You can find pretty much anything. Jewelry, gorgeous carpets, ceramics, spices. It's a treasure hunt.
And it's still a major economic hub, right? Hundreds of thousands of people visit every day. It was the world's most visited spot in 2014, apparently. And bargaining.
Yeah.
You have to haggle, don't you? It's part of the culture.
Absolutely, it's expected. But the guidebook hints at something deeper too, the bazaar's resilience. It's survived fires, earthquakes, massive shifts in trade. It just keeps adapting. Mählert mentions seeing cash bundles moved on electric carts, a glimpse of the huge, complex economy humming away beneath the surface. Many shops have been run by the same families for generations. That sense of tradition is strong.
Okay, and speaking of trade and tradition, let's talk about the Hans, these old caravanserai like Büyük Valide Han, founded in 1651 by Kuzum Sultan. Sounds like it was a really key place for Ottoman trade.
Oh, definitely. It was the biggest Han in Istanbul. Huge central courtyard, hundreds of rooms eventually. Even a mosque just for Iranian merchants. It connected traders from all over the empire and beyond. While parts were rebuilt after fires, you still feel that history.
And it's not just a relic, right? It's still used today.
Yeah, that's the amazing part. You'll find artisans, metal workers, textile dealers still working there. You can hear them hammering copper, for instance. And Mählert tells this great story about a cafe owner who used to let people up to a hidden rooftop room.
Oh, wow. With views over the bazaar.
Exactly. Apparently access got restricted in 2017, but it's just one of those hidden gems, Shows there's always more to discover.
And Büyük Valide Han isn't alone. There are others nearby, like Büyük Yeni Han, Kırksu Han. They form this whole network, this echo of Istanbul's trading past.
A whole web of commerce.
Okay, let's drift down towards the water, to Kumkapı. The guidebook paints a picture of, like, singing by the sea, smell of grilled fish, clinking rocket glasses.
Yeah.
That's the Anis drink, right? And live fasil music.
That's Kumkapı in the evening, for sure. But it has a really deep history. Back in Byzantine times, it was just a small wharf, Kontos Skalion. Then, after 1453, it became a major Armenian neighborhood. The Armenian Patriarchate was based there for a long time. Churches, schools, workshops, a whole community.
And you can still see traces of that. The church, old wooden houses.
Absolutely. The Sirpaz Vadzadzin Patriarchal Church is still there amidst all the restaurants. You can spot some beautiful old houses, too. But yeah, come evening, it totally transforms into this lively hub of meyhanes, those traditional taverns full of music, food, and that Turkish love for communal celebration.
Used to be a big fish market too, didn't it?
It did, especially early 20th century. That legacy lives on in the amazing seafood restaurants. Many chefs are using recipes passed down through generations. It's very authentic.
Sounds like a feast for all the senses, not just the taste buds. Music, history, food. Quite an atmosphere.
Definitely an experience.
Now, for the book lovers listening, Sahaflar Çarşıya, the literary heart of Istanbul.
Ah,
Sounds like a must-visit. It's tucked away between Byzantine Mosque and the Grand Bazaar and dates back to the 15th century.
yeah, it's got this incredible history as a hub for scholars and students in Ottoman times. That intellectual vibe is still there. It's full of small bookstores selling everything from antique manuscripts to modern novels, and apparently a great place to find old foreign language books from private collections.
The guidebook mentioned the atmosphere, like stepping back in time, meeting booksellers who've been there forever.
Exactly. It describes them as often being the last in a long line, really passionate about books, happy to chat over Turkish tea. It's more than just shopping, it's about connection.
So it's the whole experience. Dimly lit shops, old shelves, that smell of old paper.
Totally. You can feel the history. Bargaining happens, especially for rare finds, but it sounds like it's more about mutual appreciation than hard haggling. A real gem for literary history buffs.
Okay, let's head up to Istanbul's third hill now for Süleymaniye Mosque. Mimar Sinan's masterpiece, right? Commissioned by Suleiman the Magnificent.
Completed in 1557, and it really does feel like a masterpiece. There's this incredible sense of harmony and peace there. The gardens around it are lovely, a real escape. And the views, you look out over the Golden Horn towards Galata Tower, the Bosphorus, the Ataturk Bridge. You see the whole sweep of the city, old and new.
And inside. The guidebook talks about a profound sense of peace. That huge dome, nearly as big as Hagia Sophia's, sunlight through stained glass, calligraphy.
It's breathtaking. And it feels different from the Blue Mosque somehow. Calmer, more contemplative maybe, perhaps because it gets fewer tourist crowds. And like the Blue Mosque, it has a massive coulee around it. Hospital, library, guest house, schools. Again, that Ottoman vision of integrating faith with community life.
So not just stunning architecture, but a place with real soul. A different kind of Istanbul experience.
Definitely worth seeking out.
Now for something completely different, but still historic. Vifa Boza, this drink. Boza.
Mm.
It's ancient, isn't it?
It really is. The Vefa Bozatoshi shop has been going since 1876, but the drink itself, this thick fermented millet drink, goes back thousands of years, maybe even to Mesopotamia. It started as like a soldier's drink, apparently very nourishing, became super popular with the Janissaries, the Ottoman elite troops. Now it's seen as this traditional winter treat. Good for you too, probiotics, vitamins.
And the shop itself sounds amazing, like a time capsule. Original tiles, brass jugs. You drink it with cinnamon and roasted chickpeas. Sounds interesting. Tangy, apparently.
Yeah, it has a unique sweet tart taste. But the really cool detail Mählert includes is about Ataturk. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk actually visited this specific shop, and they still have the glass he drank his boza from on display.
No way. That's incredible. A direct link to the founder of modern Turkey right there.
Exactly. It connects the drink not just to Ottoman times, but to modern Turkish history, too. A real taste of a bygone era, like you said. Definitely try it if you're there in winter.
Okay, let's shift focus now to how modern Istanbul interacts with its ancient layers. Starting with the City Hall. It's a big modernist building from the 50s, reflecting Turkey's modernization push then.
Right. And what's fascinating and kind of typical for Istanbul is what they found when they started digging the foundations. Roman mosaics, bits of Byzantine walls, literal layers of history right under this symbol of modernity. Many of those finds ended up in the Archaeological Museum.
And it's right near the Valens Aqueduct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talk about a contrast, ancient Roman water system next to mid-20th century bureaucracy.
Exactly. That juxtaposition is everywhere in Istanbul. And the neighborhood around it, Sarasayn, has its own history, tanneries, crafts. It's a little microcosm of how the city keeps changing, but holds on to echoes of the past.
Speaking of the Valens Aqueduct, that massive Roman structure, it was still vital even after the Ottoman conquest, right? Mehmed II had it fixed up immediately.
Absolutely. It supplied water to the city for over 1,000 years. Built in the 4th century by Emperor Valens, it was part of this huge network bringing water from miles away, essential for Byzantine Constantinople.
The scale of it must be incredible. Over 1 kilometer long originally.
Yeah.
Huge stone blocks.
Massive. And the Ottomans kept using it right up until the 19th century. Today, cars drive under it, there's a park nearby. But Mählert suggests if you explore the side streets, you might still find traces of the old water channels. Makes you wonder what other ancient infrastructure is hidden just beneath our feet in old cities.
Right. Now, let's imagine taking a walk, as the guidebook suggests, through the Fatih district, from the aqueduct towards the Fatih Mosque. Sounds like a real slice of life.
It really is. Bakeries, butchers, spice shops. A very sensory experience. But the guidebook also highlights a significant change happening there. Over the last decade or so, Fatih has seen a large influx of Syrian refugees and other immigrants from the Middle East. So the character of the neighborhood is shifting. You see more Arabic signs, different kinds of shops and restaurants appearing.
And that's caused mixed feelings. Some see it as losing its old character, others as just the latest chapter in Istanbul's long history of migration.
Precisely. Mählert presents these differing views impartially. It's presented as a complex, ongoing transformation, not necessarily good or bad, just happening. It makes Fatih a really compelling place to observe how history and contemporary change interact, sometimes clash, right on the streets.
And at the heart of this district is the Fatih Mosque. The guidebook suggests it's less crowded than the big two, Sultanahmet and Süleymaniye.
Generally, yes, it offers a more local, perhaps quieter experience, but it's incredibly significant historically. Sultan Mehmet II built it between 1463 and 1470, right after the conquest, and crucially, he built it on the site of the Church of the Holy Apostles, the main Byzantine imperial burial church.
Wow, so a very deliberate statement about the transition of power.
Exactly. Symbolically huge. Like Süleymaniye, it was part of a large complex schools, hospital, library. Mehmet the Conqueror himself is buried there. And walking there from the aqueduct through streets like Akdeniz Avenue, Mählert says you really get a feel for the neighborhood's daily pulse.
The courtyard sounds like a real community space, especially on Fridays. And you mentioned spotting the Vitha SK Stadium nearby, a little nod to local football passion.
Yeah, just a small historic stadium, but another layer of local identity tucked away in this dense historical area.
Okay, moving towards the ancient walls now.
Yeah.
The Kura Church, or Kyriakami, known for its incredible mosaics, right?
Absolutely stunning Byzantine mosaics and frescoes. They're considered some of the best examples from the Paleologan Renaissance, late Byzantine period. Scenes from the lives of Christ and the Virgin Mary, incredibly detailed and vibrant.
It also went through transformations, didn't it? Mosque, then museum.
Yes. After the conquest, it became a mosque, and the mosaics were covered, thankfully not destroyed. Then, in 1945, it became a museum, the Kyrie Museum, and those amazing artworks were restored and revealed.
But there's been another recent change. Back to being a mosque.
That's right. Just in May 2024, it officially reopened as the Kyrie Mosque. The mosaics are covered during prayer times with special curtains, apparently, but still accessible to visitors otherwise. It's yet another example of this ongoing negotiation of history and identity in Istanbul. It's fascinating, and the art is still breathtaking.
Sounds like a good place to combine with a walk along the nearby city walls or exploring Fener and Balat.
Definitely. Those neighborhoods with their colorful houses and mixed history are right nearby. It all connects.
And finally, the walls themselves, the Theodosian walls. The shield of Constantinople for over a millennium.
An incredible feat of defensive engineering. They repelled siege after siege. But the guidebook makes an interesting point about 1353. When the city finally fell, it wasn't because the walls were just smashed down. It was more about Ottoman strategy, finding weak points, like an unlocked gate, the Kirkaporta. Deception played a big role.
You can get a sense of that battle at the Panorama 1453 Museum near the walls, right? That 360-degree painting sounds intense.
Yeah, it really tries to immerse you in the moment of the final assault. After the conquest, the walls weren't really needed for defense anymore, but they were so massive they just kind of remained, becoming part of the city's fabric. People built houses against them, workshops inside them.
And the guidebook mentions the Bostons, the urban gardens that grew in the shadow of the walls.
Yes. For centuries, those gardens provided fresh vegetables for the city, a really unique urban agriculture system. Sadly, much of that has been lost to recent development, but the memory remains.
There are restoration efforts now trying to preserve them.
It's ongoing, a difficult balance between preserving the history and managing the decay. But walking along sections of the walls today, it takes you to a quieter, less touristy Istanbul. You can almost hear the echoes of history.
What an incredible journey through just one part of Istanbul, guided by Uli Mählert's book, from Hagia Sophia's constant reinvention to the buzz of the Grand Bazaar, the hidden stories in the Hans, the music of Topkapı, the ancient shield of the walls. We've really seen these profound layers of history, constant change, but also this incredibly vibrant life carrying on right alongside it all.
Absolutely. And connecting it all, you see, Istanbul isn't static. It's a city of perpetual stories. Every building, every street corner holds these echoes. Emperors, sultans, merchants, artisans, refugees. These places aren't just monuments frozen in time. They're living proof of resilience, of change, and how different cultures and eras layer onto each other in really fascinating ways.
So, maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Looking at Istanbul's layers, its constant reshaping, does it make you think about the layers in your own life? Or in your own surroundings? How every change, every interaction, every new arrival adds another story, shaping the city of our own present. Perhaps this deep dive changes how you see history, not as something distant, but as something still unfolding all around us.